Hello, my name is Kathy, and today I'll be continuing the discussion on Bach flower essences with Mimulus. But before I do this, I wanted to let you know that because I have a great many videos now on many different topics, that I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easier to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. When trying to determine which Bach flower essence to use, it's necessary to understand characters and symptoms of the essence from a psychological position. This is because the Bach flower essences work on the subtle bodies of the human subtle anatomy field. For healing to take place, you need to look at the situation from this different level. So, what are the characteristics of Mimulus? The Bach flower essence Mimulus is used for people who suffer from vague, generalized fears and anxieties. Mimulus is the primary essence to use for people who have the tendency to fear excessively and too easily. It is used to treat all pathological conditions that are related to fear and anxiety in daily life. It is used to treat people who are suffering from groundless fears, anxieties, timidity, and shyness. The Mimulus condition is characterized by an excessive sensitivity and feeling of vulnerability. When positively expressed, the Mimulus type is sensitive and vulnerable and feels the happiness and pains of the world more strongly than most others do. This finely tuned sensitivity causes them to examine every life situation instinctively and without interruptions to look for possible sources of pain. As soon as anything threatens to become unpleasant in their life, they will begin the most effective countermeasures they can muster, or else they will retreat. They are experts at skillfully and adroitly avoiding pain and suffering of all kinds. This life skill is usually not apparent to others because these people carefully examine everything with what they have the slightest connection for potential sources of vulnerability. Because of this trait, they come on to others as being brave when the actual truth of the matter is far from this. This impression of bravery is further strengthened when they fight against the suffering of others. But this is done primarily because the suffering of others causes them as much pain as their own suffering. When negatively expressed, the Mimulus type's great sensitivity can turn into excessive anxieties and timidity. Instead of avoiding or neutralizing situations that would cause them suffering or unhappiness, they will often trigger them, simply because an earlier incident that caused them pain leads them to imagine that the same result will happen yet again. Over time, this pattern will serve to amplify their inherent timidity and will then turn it into a generalized and often groundless terror and anxiety that their psyche tries to diffuse by rationalizing and connecting this unhappy situation with specific occurrences or objects. The reactions at least makes the situation somewhat manageable to the Mimulus type. But the fears of these people are always very hard to handle because they're so excessive or simply unjustified given the situation. Typically, Mimulus types are always afraid of something, which drastically limits their potential for self-realization, life adventures, or taking risks. All of these things fill them with an unimaginable horror. The prospect of anything new is absolutely terrifying to these people. Their uncontrollable imaginations often creating vivid new horrors or sorrows that stand before them or lurk in dark corners like fearsome apparitions. Basically, they become afraid of their own shadows. They need to learn that the past does not equal the future. Sensitive children especially tend towards this condition because they possess neither the physical nor the mental strength to confront the potential and unknown dangers of life. Sometimes the Mimulus type will try to ignore their fears by seeming self-assertive and self-confident, but normally they belong to the group of people that are afraid to try new things. Even naturally courageous people can find themselves in the Mimulus condition if they're not able to process a certain sorrowful experience. The world view then becomes so contorted that they become excessively cautious and fearful. Mimulus is the Bach flower essence of choice to use against fear. It reduces real fears and anxieties and promotes the ability to assess dangers reasonably and properly, and makes a person generally more courageous. Mimulus should always be given as a supplemental treatment in the case of any illness that has a fear component as the root cause. It is especially good for children who are afraid of new situations. Whenever a person feels threatened, their whole body mobilizes energy and enters into a state of tension that allows them to defend themselves or to run, the fight or flight reflex. Often this is done, the person then relaxes. Otherwise, an inner pressure would develop that would cause more inner tension and fear the longer it lasted and the stronger it gets. There are two basic forms of fear, depending on the nature of the threat. The first type of fear is the immediate, often reflex action type, and the often overwhelming fear of death, which everything in nature experiences when faced with an acute, life-threatening situation, and which stems from the basic knowledge of death that is innate in all living creatures. The second type of fear is the theoretical fear attached to expectation, which is caused when we anticipate or imagine potential pain and suffering. This fear has no basis in reality, since imagination and expectations can be only theoretical and therefore unknown. This type of fear is a defense reaction to still active memories of earlier pain and suffering and serves to perpetuate those feelings. The extreme sensitivity of the Mimulus type often suffers from this latter type of fear that is all in the head. The experience of suffering goes so deeply into their being that all of their emotions are put into play, and as with any allergy, they react to the smallest cause with groundless and excessive fear. It generally takes only a simple imagining of dangers or suffering to trigger an extreme fear reaction in these people. This form of fear is so difficult to manage because, in contrast to realistic fear, it cannot be countered with any kind of rational or practical measures because it's all in the head. Some common combinations of Mimulus with other Bach flower essences are as follows. Combined with agrimony, it helps with secret fears. Combined with aspen, it helps with total fear. Combined with beech, it helps with tolerance due to fear. Combined with serrato, it helps with anxious insecurity. Combined with cherry plum, it helps with serious anxiety conflicts. Combined with chicory, it helps with anxious clinging. Combined with crabapple, it helps with excessive fear of filth and contagion. Combined with elm, it helps with sudden fear of failure. Combined with gentian, it helps with indulgent, yielding behavior and fear. Combined with heather, it helps with pushy and overbearingness due to a fear of loneliness. Combined with holly, it helps with anxious irritability. Combined with honeysuckle, it helps with flights into the past that are caused by fear. Combined with hornbeam, it helps with fear of failure. Combined with impatience, it helps with anxious restlessness. Combined with larch, it helps with fear due to a lack of self-confidence. Combined with olive, it helps with terror and exhaustion. Combined with pine, it helps with fear of guilt. Combined with red chestnut, it helps with anxious doting. Combined with rock rose, it helps with anxiety with a tendency towards panic. Combined with scleranthus, it helps with anxiety-induced indecisiveness. Combined with Star of Bethlehem, it helps with anxiety due to psychic trauma. Combined with walnut, it helps a person who is easily influenced owing to fear. Combined with white chestnut, it helps with anxiety-induced impulsive thoughts. I have a great many videos now on many different topics, and so I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easier to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. Well, that's it for now. To stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this free YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button right below this video. Take care.